Hi guys, welcome back to Michi Makes Up. Today I'm reviewing some new makeup for you. This is from the House of Sillage. This is their Disney collaboration. They came out with a Quint, and very cute here. There's actually a bow detail, as well as a Complexion compact that has a highlighter and a blush. They also came out with some lip products, but I did not actually get them as part of this haul. And I do want to show you the cute packaging these products come in. So first they, like the compacts, they have Minnie and Mickey on the boxes. The names of the shades are actually printed on the back here. And then each of the compact also comes with a velour pouch. And on the pouch, says Disney times Sillage, or House of Sillage, I should say. House of Sillage, for those who are not familiar, is a luxury fragrance and lipstick brand. So coming out with makeup, this Quint and the Complexion Compact is a first for them. It's new. I think those of us who are aware of this brand or had been looking for new things to try, we were just really excited when they announced that they were coming out with makeup. So let's take a look at the product description, and then we will do swatches followed by some comparisons. I think that this Quint does remind me of Tom Ford's eyeshadow, especially the wet dry formula, so we will do some comparisons there, and then we'll go into the demo on this look, which I used the Quint to create, and also the blush and highlight on my cheeks today. So we'll first take a look at the product description, and then I'll do some swatches. I'll also compare the formulation to some of the other luxury eyeshadows that I have, like Tom Ford and Dior. Then we'll head on to the demo on how I created this look using the Quint and the Complexion Compact. At the end, I'll give you my summarized thoughts. With the eyeshadow Quint, Minnie is on it, and this is a fairly sturdy compact. I think you can hear it. Has a magnetic closure. It says Disney times House of Sillage. You open it up, there is a film over the mirror, and then this adorable bow. The shades look kind of similar between these three, but you'll see in the demo my demonstration of these shades and how they are different, and I think you can see it in the swatches as well. The products in here are made in Italy with a shelf life of 24 months. So this whole collaboration is based on the greatest love story ever known of Mickey and Minnie Mouse, is celebrated through this limited edition eyeshadow Quint by House of Sillage Beauty, with rich tones of rose gold, radiant mauves, deep sultry bronzes, and luminous pearls to capture a magical eye look that won't go unnoticed. The luminous finish formulas transform your eyes to amazing metallic pearl hues with rich intensity. Full coverage pigment with all-day wear. You can create the perfect diffused eye look by wearing one or two tones all over the eye for an effortless look, or create a multi-dimensional sultry smoky eye that dazzles everyone in your path. Iconic formula, the House of Sillage beauty formulas are created in Italy with opulent unmatched performance, rich pigmentation, dazzling lumosity, and effortless application. The Complexion Duo has Mickey on it. Comes with the blush and a highlighter, and the blush here has Mickey embossed on it. It's really, really cute. And then you got the same thing, the mirror. So cute. Looking at this blush, you would think it's pretty unassuming, but actually, just a little preview, it's a very, very smooth blush. It reminds me of Chanel's old blush formula. It just goes on very smoothly. It gives you a bit of radiance. What the website has to say about the Complexion Duo: House of Sillage introduces the perfect complexion color enhancers with our Complexion Duo compacts. Each Complexion Duo is uniquely designed to ensure universal color story wear is adorned by all. Created with House of Sillage's sustainable magnetized refillable system to interchange your beauty collection compacts. Right now with these compacts, I believe this is the first of its kind, And if House of Sillage had previously released makeup, please let me know below, because I am not aware. I believe this is a first. So when they mentioned how this is magnetized and interchangeable, there aren't other options right now where you could swap these two out. And when I look at it like this, especially looking at the back, there's really no pinhole where you could easily pop these out. So I wonder, and it seems fairly, you know, wedged in there. There's not that much space between the compact and the pans of where the product sits in. So I'm not sure when it comes time to change these out how easy or difficult it would be to do that. But very interesting. It seems like from this, there are future plans to have more complexion duos, compacts, and maybe shades for people to switch out and make interchangeable. Moving on to the swatches, we'll first start with the Quint. These are how the shades look on my fingers. We'll first start with number 1, Innocence. Such a beautiful rose gold shade. And then we have number 2, Magical. Then number 3, So Sweet. Number 4, Daydream. Number 5, Joyride. All of these shades went on very smoothly, and they just all came off of my finger. Usually that's an indication of how easy they are to apply on the lid and to diffuse. And when I go back in with my finger to this last shade here, Joyride, just to blend it out some more, it's super easy. Very, very smooth. And if you don't go in too harshly into the pan, you're not going to get this type of fallout. Typically when I go in with a finger to do swatches, I get a lot of product on here, and that's why you see more of a kick up. So this is what the pan looks like after I went in with my finger, and it's not bad. So when you're going in with a brush, if you're fairly light-handed or you're just normal kind of pressure, there should be very little fallout. Just look how smooth these are. Wow. Now I'm moving on to the Complexion Duo. We have Pink Bow, which is the blush, and then the highlighter, which is Joyful. And these are what it looks like on my fingers. Basically, the blush is here, and then the highlighter. And this is the blush. The subtle radiance of this blush is probably not that visible on camera, but you can see because there's just the slightest sheen to it. It's also very soft and easy to apply. It blended out really nicely. You'll see that I use a very fluffy brush because I wanted kind of like an all-over flushed color, but you can get a more concentrated payoff if you use a smaller brush. And of course you can go back in with, you know, a second and a third application. This was with, I think, maybe 2.5 applications on each side with a fairly big brush. So I did like how that turned out for what I had in mind. The highlighter is also very subtle, but you can see it on my cheeks. This did emphasize a little bit of texture here, so I think if I were to use it next time, I would go a little bit lighter hand or move upwards a little bit more just to avoid right here where I do have some texture. The highlighter is also suitable to put all over the cheeks and then put the blush on, because the blush itself doesn't actually have a lot of shimmery quality to it. You wouldn't be too shiny from it, but I think you could amplify the radiance effect by putting the highlighter on first. When I first dipped into the Quint, I immediately thought of Tom Ford. And I took the First Frost Quad out because I want to compare this shade to this shade right here. And this is again called Innocence. But because of how buttery and smooth these shades are, yeah, they really remind me of Tom Ford, and I think we're gonna find some similarities here. And I'm just going to, because we're at it, I'm going to compare this shade here to the deeper shade, Magical, from House of Sillage. It won't be, I don't think it'll be as deep as Magical, but we will see. I think the Tom Ford First Frost is much more glittery. It is metallic, but there's a lot more glitter that you can see. Whereas the House of Sillage formula is more on the metallic side, like a creamy, smooth metallic. So here we have First Frost above Innocence. I think the undertone are very similar. Both are, you know, rose gold, but this is a lot more glittery and shiny. And then for this deeper shade comparison, I'm going to swatch on the other side. A little bit lighter and definitely more shimmery, whereas this is like a very, oh, you know, it's actually pretty plum-like. Once I blend it out, you can see sort of the purple undertone and some red, whereas this is much more brown in comparison. So the shades are quite different. The texture is also really different. This First Frost Quad is very glittery, and it actually feels a bit powdery in comparison. It doesn't swatch powdery at all, which is one of the magical things about Tom Ford's formula for these wet dry shadows. But in comparison to House of Sillage is just like very buttery and creamy. I'm going to take out some Natasha Denona shadows because her metallics are also known to be very buttery and creamy as well, and they kind of like swatch on forever and ever. So I'm going to take some of those out and we'll just compare them and see what they feel like in texture. I have Natasha Denona's newest palette. This is Circo Loco, and none of the shades here are really similar to House of Sillage's Quint. Understandably, with House of Sillage's first Quint release, they've gone with something that is very wearable. Pinks and mauves and bronzes, which is very universally wearable. So I will just pick two metallics that we can compare just like the texture. So I have Snow Cone, which is the shade, and Razzle Dazzle, and they are super, super smooth to the touch. I would say smoother than even House of Sillage, but we will see. So I'm just gonna swatch the two shades like this. And both, the majority of the product I would say transferred onto my arm, and it's definitely very easy to blend out. And these shades are easy to diffuse on the lid. I would say in comparison, these are also a little bit more sparkly in the formulation and finish. And these are almost like muted in comparison. It has that shine and metallic quality, but it just doesn't have this glitter. So it's a little bit muted. Both feel very smooth, but I would say House of Sillage is like a little bit, like a touch more powdery than the Natasha Denona. However, that doesn't, you know, speak to the ease of blending. In fact, I think both are probably equally easy to work with. If you have, you know, your favorite set of brushes, I don't think you'll have any issues at all. With the comparisons out of the way, let's head on to the demo. I will see you guys at the end. I'm taking the shade Magical, and I'm putting that right above the lash line. Then I'm taking Daydream and I'm putting that above Magical. Then I'm taking Joyride here and I'm adding this to the crease. And then with a finger, I'm going to take some of Innocence and put it right on the center of the lid. I was hoping it would have a brightening effect, and it did, but it's not as dramatic as I thought it would be. It's still pretty. You can still see it, but it's just not as like blingy or sparkly as I thought it might be, but that's okay. We're gonna now take So Sweet and we're adding it to the inner corners. And some to the brow bone. I'm going to put on concealer foundation and then we'll come back for the blush and highlighter. Under the eyes, I do want to go back with what I have left of the shade Magical, and I'm just going to sweep this maybe halfway on the lower lash line. And then I want to go back into Innocence with a brush this time. And like to add that on the lower waterline as well. For blush, we're going to use Pink Bow and place that all over the cheeks. I am enlisting the help of this very fluffy brush here because I'm looking for an all-over glow. I think that's really pretty. It has a soft radiance. It reminds me of the old Chanel blush formulation. And then for highlight, we're going into Joyful and we're placing that onto the high points. For lips, I'm taking Chanel's Cocoa Flash. This is in the shade Immediate. This is the finished look. I think this is such a great release from House of Sillage. The shades are so wearable, the Quint and the Complexion duo. I've seen people with much lighter and much deeper complexion than me where the Complexion duo looked really, really nice on them. So, you know, they weren't kidding when they said, we want this first release to be very accessible and suitable for all different skin tones. I think they really did achieve that. They did talk about, you know, the quality of their makeup and how easy it would be not only to wear but to work with the shadows. I completely agree with that. They're just very creamy to the touch, easy to blend out. You saw in the swatches, you know, all the shades just kind of went right off of my finger onto my wrist, which is always a very good indicator for the quality of the shadows. Typically when we see mattes that are lower quality, you would try to swatch them onto the arm and then not much goes on. Most of the product stays on your finger and just kind of sticks to it. Or the swatch looks really, really patchy, and that is not the case at all. Obviously all the shades in the Quint are metallic, they're not matte, but sometimes you still see issues with metallics when the quality is not really there. And given that they're all metallic, the looks you get aren't overly shimmery or shiny. It's not going to, it can still give you depth easily, the shades that are included. You don't actually have to use that bronzy, the deepest shade if you didn't want to. I think there's enough variance that you have a choice. But you can also use that bronze shade to deepen up any of the other shades. You can use this to deepen up the shade a little bit more, or you could use it to deepen up any of these and just kind of make your own or customize your own shade that works for you. So I like that a lot. I also find that these compacts are very substantial. Next to Tom Ford, which is, you know, nice. It is luxury and you get that feeling, but this is much heavier in comparison, and I think it is related to how perhaps you're supposed to reuse these in the future when they have more options and refills available. And then of course, next to, you know, the Dior Quint, this is much lighter. I think these two are quite similar, whereas this is very, very sturdy. Something else worth commenting on is the velour pouches you get for both of the products. It's substantial as well. I think it matches with the whole luxury brand, the sturdiness of the compact. If I compare it to Chanel velour pouches, they're much thinner in comparison. I wonder if you can hear it. And actually the sturdiness of this pouch reminds me of Chanel's older velour pouches. So this is a Chanel highlighter that I got many years ago from a friend. You guys will recognize, well, some of you will recognize. So this is from quite some time ago. This pouch is probably the most substantial, the nicest velour pouch of all, you know, makeup that I have. They've obviously changed that since then, since I don't know from how long ago. So what you get today is not quite the same, but I was generally impressed by these from House of Sillage. So if you're curious about the packaging, those are, I think, all the details that I could give you based on what I can see. Oh, and one last thing, the collection does come with some cards. And this one just says, if you receive the collection before the specific launch date, you know, you're asked to not share this, but we're way past that now. And here it just says, this collection celebrates the greatest love story of Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, and then you have Nicole, a photo of the founder of House of Sillage on the other side. So there you have it. I hope you found this review helpful, especially if you were curious about this release. I really like it. I think everything was very easy to work with. The shades are beautiful, nice pink, mauve, you know, it can be very soft or you could play it up. Very suitable for spring going into summer. I look forward to their other releases. I think if they keep up with this quality, I bet they can come up with some really interesting color stories and other makeup that we could be really excited about as well. I will see you guys very soon. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.